Who do you know that has lost a son or a daughter? This is Father Jonathan Meyer. Welcome to Peace on Earth. Merry Christmas. We celebrate today the fourth day of Christmas. We also celebrate what is known as the Feast of the Holy Innocents. The Feast of the Holy Innocents is we celebrate those who lost their life as young children in Bethlehem. We hear in our gospel passage today in Matthew chapter 2, 13 through 18. These verses tell the story about King Herod, who calls for the death of all the children in Bethlehem. He is wanting to kill the Messiah, and so he's willing to kill any child. He's willing to have any child die to protect himself out of his own pride, his own envy, his own jealousy. The death of these children, the church has always revered as being the first martyrs, individuals who died for the Savior, individuals that died for Christ. The death of a child is very painful. The death of anyone is very painful. The death of a mother, of a father, a brother, a sister, a grandparent. But there is something that is especially painful about the death of a child. In my 21 years of being a priest, I've witnessed again and again the grief of parents that have lost a child. Sometimes it's the pain of a child that doesn't make it to full term. Sometimes it's the tears of a woman in the confessional who confesses to the death of her child through abortion. Sometimes it's a young child who dies due to a disease, an illness, an accident. There is a almost unconsolable grief that rests in the hearts of these parents. Today is a day for us to be the hands, the heart, and the voice of Jesus. I want to encourage you today to not be afraid. I want to encourage you today to not be silent. I want to encourage you today to reach out. To spend time today reflecting upon who are people that I know that have lost a child. Even if that child was in their 30s or 40 years old, whatever it might be, there's still a mother, there's still a father that aches. I found again and again that so often people don't want to bring up the death of a child in fear of upsetting the parent. And if the parents are longing for someone to recognize the beauty and the gift of their child. So allow today to be a day, say, I'm not going to be silent. I am going to call. I am going to reach out, and I am going to show joy, show belief in the presence, show belief in the dignity that exists in another human being. Allow this fourth day of Christmas, allow this Feast of the Holy Innocents to give you courage and strength to recognize and to acknowledge the beauty of life. For those of you who have lost a child, please know of my prayers. We always celebrate a very powerful Mass on the Feast of the Holy Innocents, praying for the healing of mothers and fathers that have lost a child. So please know that I'll be praying for you at Holy Mass today. On this fourth day of Christmas, when we look at the Christmas Carol, the 12 days of Christmas, we call to mind the four calling birds. Those four calling birds make reference to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The four calling birds are the four evangelists, those who wrote the four Gospels. And the Gospels, of course, are how we know specifically of salvation found only in Jesus Christ, who is the partridge in a pear tree. So the four calling birds give us the great mystery of salvation. If we really actually follow the 12 days of Christmas, there is actually some sense that that goes to all of them. If it was not for the four evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we would not know of the Trinity, which is directly below it. And then, of course, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the fullness of the gospel is what helps us to know than that Jesus is the Savior of the world, because both the Old Testament and the New Testament reveals that to us. So these beautiful catechetical tools given to us through this whimsical carol remind us to continue to celebrate Christmas throughout these beautiful days. So a Merry Christmas to you and a happy 4 calling birds. Peace and God bless.